Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my attempt to land on Minmus in Kerbal Space Program 2 as part of the weekly challenge number 3. This might sound funny to you, but this is actually the first time in my entire KSP career, including my time with KSP1, that I'll be going further than Moon. The reason being is that I didn't really play KSP1 that much, as I started somewhere around mid of 2019. And as you know, shortly after that, they announced the KSP2. And since I didn't spend that much time with KSP1 till then, I decided to simply wait and enjoy it all in the newer format. Well, it was a bit longer wait than I anticipated, as everyone knows now, but here we are, we made it eventually. As for the rocket goes, I just went with simple design. I was considering to add some boosters, but eventually decided to keep it just with the main engine, as it was already powerful enough to get me to the orbit and to the surface of the Minmus. And here we are on the launch pad. As you can see, the first launch looks quite promising, no issues anywhere to see. However, the rocket is not super stable, so once I started to pitch over a little bit too early, you can see that it didn't go according to plan. So here we go again. This time it went much better, and I was able to get to the space simply by starting to pitching over a bit later. Now, as you can see, I also had a little bit of problem with orientation once I got to the space. But, I mean, that's what RCS and SAS systems are for, right? So, let's just use them to fix it. RCS thrusters worked well, we got aligned for the maneuver, and here we go with the orbit insertion. That went without problem, as it should. And now is the time to finally heading to the Minmus. Unfortunately, this is the part that wasn't really going according to my expectations and plan. From my experience with Moon, it's pretty straightforward, but for some reason here with the Minmus it wasn't the case. And the problem is that once I finally settled on the trajectory with the setting of my maneuver node, every time I followed the timer on the screen, I just wasn't able to really get to the trajectory that I was planning to. So I wondered, did I always start late with the burn, or is there something going on with the calculations? Anyway, as you can see, I finally was able to get to the point that my burn was successful and we could continue. So the next step was obviously to set up a node for burn to get to Minmus orbit. I play with it a little bit because the window is not really large, so you have to be careful. But as you can see, it went quite smoothly, and no problem there. And since I didn't want to go directly to the orbit insertion node, I wanted to create another one so I can time warp to it, and that did happen. And so here we go again. I reverted to curb its orbit and start again. Yeah, this time I didn't have to repeat 5 times or 6 times to really get there. Luckily, I was able to get the burn right on the first try, as you can see. So that was quite nice. Another surprise was that once I put Minmus as a focus, which I believe was already before, the window that shows, you know, the start and end of influence of Minmus gravity on the spacecraft disappeared. And since I wasn't sure if it's right there, I had to create another node to make sure that, you know, I can get there. So I put another node and slow down a bit and make sure that I'll be able to hit Minmus sphere of influence. And yeah, once I got there, I created another node to get to the orbit and have successful orbit insertion. Yeah, getting to the orbit eventually wasn't that difficult once I was able to hit the burn a node. Well, I first get to stable orbit first, and then I was able to decrease the altitude, so I can have better look on where to land. And here we're getting to the highlight of the mission for me. Orbiting Minmus with seeing Kerbin, you know, back there, and with the music. I love that. It kind of gives me some meditation vibe, like it's really comforting, and the music is just so good. I could basically orbit like this for an hour. On setting up the maneuver for landing, I obviously had to turn retrograde, and here you can see that there are still some bugs prevailing in this version, as Coupler kind of disappeared, but I mean, I can tell you that the game is still so much more stable now than it was before the first patch, so definitely good work. And yeah, the game is much more enjoyable now, I can tell you that. And here comes the last part of the mission, the landing itself. I have to say, I still don't have, you know, the feeling of the proper speed and the proper altitude. So I guess this will count with the experience. Like at this moment of the time, I felt like my speed is quite alright. But yeah, as you will soon see, my first landing kind of followed with my first launch. So I mean, yeah, here still looks alright. Nice legs to extend, but yeah, this is where it starts to getting downhill, and yeah, quite unstable. Let's see. Still promising, still promising. Yeah, I gave up. I first killed Kerbal on Minmus. With my second attempt, I tried to be a bit more cautious about the speed and angle, so let's see how it goes. I would say so far so good. One thing I also noticed that when I set the SAS stabilization system to retrograde, it doesn't always work as I would expect. So eventually I had to turn it off and control it manually. As you can see in this display of spacecraft vacuum dense. But hey, it's just my second attempt. I get enough fuel in the tank so I can fly like this for another hour until I find the way how to successfully land. Luckily, it didn't take really an hour, more like 2 minutes. And yeah, here we go. Getting closer to the landing. At the very end, I had to use a great amount of mental power and overpowered stabilization system, as you can see if you keep the spacecraft upright, but hey, it worked, so why am I to complain? Let's just leave it like that. So here you have it, my first ever landing anywhere further than Mun. And to top it all off, I was even able to do my first spacewalk in my KSP gaming history, so I would call it eventually a pretty successful mission. And I can't wait for another missions coming soon in the future. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching my journey. Let me know what you like to see next in the comments below. This will be all for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching till the end, and I'll see you in the next one.